How you doing, YouTube? Matt Massive Beer Reviews back with a little bit of barley wine up in this piece in the form of Swamphead Brewing's. It's their barrel-aged Warmouth. This is a 12.6% barrel-aged barley wine. Comes courtesy of my boy Charles. He works at Swamphead. These are on his own accord, not from the brewery. I just like to say that because he's sending them on his dime, not the brewery's. I'm trying to look at the date on this. I think this has a little bit of time on it. He wrote and told me about that stuff. I don't want to look, though. I just want to drink it. We'll see what's what. So you're talking about 12 and change barley wine that's barrel-aged. I'll put this up with the other barrel-aged beer I did with Swamphead that he sent off, which is their 2020 beer, I believe it was. And I was kind of underwhelmed when it came to the impact and the aggressiveness of both the beer and the barrel aging being an imperial stout. I'm kind of curious to see how this one lives up to its namesake. So 12.6% barley wine, barrel aged. It's just a bunch of curse words and like Batman kind of bubble letter or whatever, zap, zam, ba-boom kind of things going on. But yeah, okay, I like it. It looks the part of a barley wine. It's not super dense like doo-doo water, but it's getting there. I like my barley wines, especially with some barrel aging, to have a nice haze to them. It's hard to kind of see that on camera, even if it did, because it just looks kind of just deep, rich, dark brown. But I can definitely see through the beer, at least from an angle. It has that just like epically thin kind of khaki-colored head to it that you expect from most barley wines. And it looks the part. It's appropriate color, the whole nine. Get a nose. There's something spicy here. Man. Like, I wonder if they use like a rye barrel on this or something. Because there is a burnt kind of sugar component to this barley wine. It's not overly sweet, at least on the nose. Or not perceptionally sweet. People hate when people say you can't smell sweet. Jesus Christ, it just pisses me off so much. You can't smell sweet. You can smell if something's sweet based off the aromatics it gives off. It just drives me insane. Anyway, there's a charriness to it, so you're getting a bit of barrel, but there's something extra spicy in this. Very much like a rye spiciness. So I don't know if it's a rye barley wine. I would assume they would call that out on here. Instead of a barley wine, it would be a rye wine. But it's definitely like a spicy component to it. So not overly sweet, but you get that kind of burnt brown sugar component. You definitely get a kind of barrel char from it, a spiciness, a little bit of heat. Let's dive in. Cheers. That's delicious. I'm going to tell you what. I did not expect that based off of the nose. You know, these icky sticky. This has to have some time on it too. I got to look it up probably. We'll save it towards the end. See what he said about this. You know, beers like this, barley wines like this, typically carry a very similar nose. More often than not, I lean into them and I go, "Oh, here we go." And then when I do that, I drink it and go, yeah, there it is. So the opposite can be said. Whereas I lean into it and go, I'm not getting a ton, which is kind of what I got in this beer. You know, I get a little bit of burnt kind of caramelized sugar, a little bit of barrel, nothing as far as spirit, not a big, huge kind of rich, icky, sticky kind of barley wine, which is really what I want. You know, you're talking about a barrel-aged barley wine. It doesn't say American barley wine. It's an English barley wine. I want it to be sticky. I want it to be rich and decadent. So I was like, okay, it's not that big of a nose. I don't think it's going to come off that way in the taste, but let's reserve judgment. And this is why we reserve judgment, because that nose leads you down a road that this beer does not take you. Which is I got to choose my words carefully here because I don't want to sound like a negative, because I think this is absolutely delicious. It's a little bit thinner than what you'd expect, or what I would expect. I need to rephrase that. What I would expect and what I would want from a big barrel-aged barley wine. It's not thin. I'm not calling it thin. It's just a little bit thinner than what I expect. But in this particular beer, I view that as a positive, not a negative, because it kind of makes it a little bit extra drinkable. That's scary, but at the same time pleasurable. The the melding of the beer and the spirit. I'm going to still stick with rye barrel here. It's not nearly as spicy as I thought it was going to be based off of the nose, but it's still there. So I'm going to still assume there's rye barrel involved. Has melded so well with the base malt and the core of the beer, the maltiness of the beer. They're almost indistinguishable at this point. It's not sugar daddy. It's not even like Tootsie Roll, or it's not like, creme brulee kind of getting in there. It's a little bit more adulty. It's a little bit less sweet, a little bit more spicy. I keep going back to spicy is the word I want to use. Very much an undersweetened score bar. So score bars, if no one's ever had them, they're very much an adult kind of candy. I've always viewed it as such. Is that it's like kind of like a nougaty taffy. It's like almost like a taffy around a nougat, but a hard nougat, and then like chocolate over top. It's very much like an adult, like everything's undersweetened in it. It's a little bit more kind of savory inside of that sweet, and that's kind of what I'm getting here. Not that I'm getting a big savory component off of it, but those rich brown sugars, the caramels, those things that are in there, that little bit of figgy, not really date, but a little bit of figgy kind of vibes, are not nearly as aggressive and explosive as I typically want them to get in a barley wine. But I can't stress this enough, is that I really like the way this beer comes off. Sometimes a little bit less is more. More often than not, I want over-the-top, hair-on-fire shit. You're talking about a 12% barley wine, barrel-aged. I'm not looking for nuance. I'm not looking for, kind of levels here. I'm not looking for, complexity on multiple levels, even though you can get them in barley wines. I do get that, and I appreciate that. This is a bit more subtle and a bit more layered than you get on a barley wine, and I find that infinitely intriguing. I like this a lot. Like a lot. And I had to say, coming off that other barrel-aged beer, I was kind of bummed. I was like, not that other beer was a bad beer, but it was a 10% imperial stout with a bunch of adjuncts in it, and he drank no bigger than like 6.5%. It was one of those things where it was like, wow, where's the ABV in this beer? I know where it is in this beer. Even though this drinks quite a bit smaller than what I would expect at a 12.6% barley wine, I love it. I do quite a bit. Not typically what I enjoy in a barley wine. But I like it. Yeah. Just how cool, how smooth, the beer is in combination with the barrel. The way that char kind of shows up, the way those little vanilla coconut tones come off of that barrel. That burnt brown sugar that wants so much to be sugar daddy but doesn't get there, and I like that it's everything here is undersweetened. Now you have to view the difference. There's a difference between not sweet and undersweetened. When I talk about that, it's not like I'm saying this is an not sweet beer. I'm saying it's a sweet beer, but it's undersweetened what it typically should be at its ABV level and the style of beer it is. And I think that lets a little bit more kind of flavor come out. I'm going to have to look up what he actually said about this real quick. I don't even know if he said really all that much about it, but I know he said this is the one where it's late at night and a minute. The Warmouth is an extra little treat for the sleepless nights with your newborn. Yeah, he doesn't say anything about it, but I think it's fantastic. Thank you very much, dude, for sending this off. This is very, very cool. I love barley wine. I really do. It's kind of near and dear to my heart. It's probably one of, if not my favorite style of beer. And it just always continues to surprise me. It's like a lot of times, you want something specific from barley wine. I want all barley wines to be a 15-year-old Thomas Hardy, or I want a barley wine to be this, or that, or I want it to be some Revolution Brewing, something like that. And then you get something like this, which is kind of like quite a bit different than what you typically want and expect from barley wine. And while it's quite a bit different and not what you expected, not what you wanted, it's the beer you needed. Does that make any sense? I'm just speaking in whatever isms at this point, but this is absolutely delicious. low impact, big result. Does that make any sense? It's like not what you'd expect from a typical barley wine, but that's a good thing. That's probably the best way I could put it, because the way that richness come off, the layers in which the barrel, the beer, the barrel, the beer, the barrel, the beer, the multiple layers of each portion of the show kind of meld together and become one, but are discernible if you really sit there and kind of sip and think about it, is absolutely fantastic. I would be very, very surprised if this didn't have a little bit of time on it. You know, if not a lot of time in the barrel, a little bit of time in the can. I'm kind of hoping I can find out when this is from. If you tell me this is 3 months old, I am blown away by the maturity of this beer. If you told me this is 5 years old, I would go, that sounds about right. You know, it's kind of like one of those beers, but absolutely delicious stuff. Thank you very much, Charles Shenzoff. And this is probably one of, let's do that. Is this one of the better barley wines, barrel-aged barley wines that I've had as of late? Yes. Is it going to win a impactful 2x4 to the face contest with Revolution Brewing or one of those? No. But it's kind of the turtle in the hare, you know, if that race is a little bit longer. I think this one kind of ties or wins towards the end because it's a little bit more drinkable and just surprisingly delicious. Value and availability, no idea on this. And anybody in the old Swamphead universe, let me know what they paid for this if you actually purchased some, and leave you with it if you like, well, we like this. If you like 2 specific things, English barley wine, 3 specific things, barrel-aged English barley wine, and aging English barley wine, because that's where this one kind of melds. It's giving you all those things in one beer. So if you dig on those, you will dig this. There you go. Reviewing the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Down there if you want to talk about it. Massive Beers if you want to check me out in the social media stuff. Beer Massif if you want to check me out in the whole podcasting thing. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully you're enjoying a little bit, just a little bit of Swamphead right now. We'll see you next time. Cheers.